Have you ever had a moment, a quiet, lingering moment, where something in your soul whispered, "There's more than this"? More than the routine, more than the struggle, more than the roles you've been playing. It starts as a feeling, a crack in the illusion. And then, like soft rain tapping on the roof of your soul, it becomes a call, and you can't unhear it. That is the beginning of spiritual awakening. But what comes next is not always light and peace and bliss. It's messy, mysterious, deeply personal, and yet remarkably universal. According to the late Dolores Cannon, regressionist, metaphysical researcher, and author of over 19 books, there is a path your soul follows as it awakens. It's not linear, it's not predictable, but it is sacred. Tonight, we're going to walk step by step through what I call the 12 stages of spiritual awakening, based on Dolores' work with thousands of hypnotic regression clients who access not only past lives, but the deepest layers of their soul's knowing. As we move through these stages together, I want you to breathe with me, to feel, to ask, where am I now? Because this isn't just a video, it's a remembering. Let's begin. Stage 1, the feeling of something more. The journey begins quietly. There's no grand moment, no fireworks, just a subtle knowing that begins to stretch inside your chest. Something doesn't feel right. You look around your life and feel disconnected. You might have a decent job, a family, a routine, but deep down, something feels off. There's a yearning for something you can't name. Dolores Cannon found that many of her clients felt like outsiders their whole lives, like they didn't belong here. Some described themselves as observers in their own existence. One woman, under hypnosis, said, "I remember standing on a ship, looking down at Earth and saying, 'I'll go, but I won't like it there.'" She laughed and cried at the same time as she recalled this. This first stage is the seed. You haven't awakened yet, but the soil is trembling, the soul is stirring, and everything you've ignored, every unasked question begins to rise. Stage 2, the breakdown/life collapse. The second stage is often the most painful and yet the most important. Something in your life collapses. A relationship ends suddenly. You're diagnosed with a mysterious illness. Someone you love dies. You're betrayed. You lose your job, or maybe your mental health begins to crack. Everything that gave you stability disappears. Dolores explained this stage in one simple phrase: the soul must shake the structure before the light can enter. Clients would often say things like, "I would have never questioned my reality if my life hadn't fallen apart." The breakdown is not a punishment, it's a sacred intervention. Your soul created this friction, not to destroy you, but to liberate you. And while you may not recognize it in the moment, this collapse is your birth canal. Everything that follows becomes possible because of this rupture. Stage 3, the awakening trigger. This is the flashpoint. For some, it happens in a single moment. For others, it's a slow burn, but something shifts. Maybe you have a strange dream that feels more real than reality. Maybe you randomly hear about Dolores Cannon for the first time and something inside you tingles. Maybe you see repeating numbers, have déjà vu, or experience an unexplainable synchronicity. Whatever it is, it opens a door. You start questioning everything. Why am I really here? What is the soul? Is this life even real? You find yourself drawn to spiritual books, metaphysical content, ancient wisdom. Dolores shared stories of clients who had spontaneous memories, visions of other lifetimes, lives on other planets, or even non-human incarnations, triggered by seemingly mundane moments. One man remembered his life as a light being just by standing in the sunlight one day. These are not accidents, they're soul codes, awakening activators, and they are meant for you. Stage 4, the dark night of the soul. Now the shadow arrives. Everything you thought you knew dissolves. The beliefs you clung to, the identity you wore, the roles you played, they begin to feel false. and you're left staring at the void. This is not depression, though it can look similar. This is a profound spiritual disorientation. You may feel abandoned by spirit. You may isolate. You may feel like nothing matters anymore. But this is sacred terrain. Dolores said many clients remembered choosing this darkness before incarnating, because it was the only way to fully surrender the ego's grip. In this stage, your soul is asking you to let go. Let go of the illusions. Let go of who you thought you were. Let go of what you thought would save you, because something deeper is waiting, something real. But it cannot emerge until the false self dies. And so you grieve, you descend, and you remember that even in the dark you are not alone. Stage 5, the search for truth. Out of the ashes, the seeker rises. You begin to crave answers, not superficial ones, but soul-level truths. You're no longer satisfied with mainstream narratives. You explore topics you once dismissed: past lives, ET contact, energy healing, the Akashic records, higher dimensions, the new earth. This is when many people find Dolores Cannon's work for the first time, and something clicks. You read her case studies, ordinary people going into deep trance and remembering extraordinary lives. You realize you've lived before, maybe hundreds of times, and suddenly the pieces of your life, the struggles, the strange talents, the people you've met, they start to form a pattern. It's not random, it's a curriculum, and you are remembering the syllabus. Stage 6, detachment from the 3D world. As your awareness expands, your attachments begin to fade. You no longer chase the same goals. You can't tolerate shallow conversations. Material things lose their grip. You start to question time, money, status, even language itself. Dolores spoke of this detachment as a dimensional dissonance. The soul is vibrating at a new frequency, but the body is still here in the physical plane. Many of her clients described this stage as floating between two worlds. I'm here, but I'm not really here. You might spend more time in solitude. Nature becomes your temple. The stars feel more like family than some of your relatives. You don't need to drop out of society, but you do begin to live on your own terms, because the rules of the old game no longer apply. You are no longer a player. You are becoming the dreamer of the dream. Take a moment, breathe in, feel into what you've just heard. What stage are you in? Are you in the ache of the breakdown, the thrill of seeking, the stillness of detachment? There is no right place to be. Each stage is sacred. Each stage is necessary. If you feel called, write it in the comments below. I am in stage and I'm ready for what's next. You may be surprised how many souls echo your words. This journey was never meant to be walked alone. Stage 7, the opening of intuition. Now that you've detached from the 3D world, something beautiful begins to unfold. You begin to feel more than think. You start to know without needing proof. This is the reawakening of intuitive perception, the senses of the soul. Your dreams become more vivid. You start hearing whispers of guidance. You feel the energy in a room before you walk in. You instinctively know who to trust, when to rest, and what to let go of. It's not paranoia. It's not fantasy. It's your inner technology activating. Dolores Cannon discovered that many of her clients, once awakened, began experiencing what could only be described as psychic phenomena: clairvoyance, telepathy, mediumship, channeling, astral travel. And here's the thing, these weren't people who considered themselves spiritual. Many had never meditated. Some were devoutly religious. Others were skeptical. But once they connected with their higher self, their true nature began to flood in. You might start seeing colors around people. You may begin to feel animals communicating with you. You might receive full downloads in the shower or during a walk in the woods. This is not new. It is ancient. You are not gaining new abilities. You are reclaiming what has always been yours. So trust the voice, even when it whispers. especially when it whispers. Stage 8, remembering the soul mission. At this point, the question shifts from what's happening to me to why am I here? This is the stage of mission recall. Not a career, not a title, a soul frequency. You begin to feel a purpose rising inside you, not driven by ego, but by love. Dolores wrote often about the 3 waves of volunteers, souls who incarnated on Earth to assist in the shift of consciousness. Many of her clients remembered choosing to come here even if it was difficult. Some said things like, "I didn't want to incarnate again, but I saw Earth was struggling, and I knew I could help." These were not grand gestures. Not all were meant to be healers or public figures. Some came just to hold the vibration of love in their families. Some came to break cycles. Some came to quietly anchor the new light. At this stage, you begin to feel pulled towards certain actions. Maybe you start a healing practice. Maybe you create art that uplifts. Maybe you simply become more present in every interaction. Whatever your path, one thing is clear. Your presence matters. You didn't come here by accident. You are a soul on assignment. And now you remember. Stage 9, integration of past lives and karma. Now the deeper layers begin to surface. You start to sense that this life is not your first act. Maybe you've always had an unexplained fear of water, or you're drawn to ancient Egypt, or you meet someone and feel instantly, unshakably connected. These are clues, threads from other lifetimes. Dolores' clients often uncovered vivid, detailed past lives during QHHT sessions, some as healers, warriors, monks, alien beings, even non-human energy forms. And more importantly, they saw how those lives directly influenced their current struggles. One client, terrified of being seen, recalled a life as a spiritual teacher who was executed for sharing forbidden knowledge. Another client with lifelong neck pain remembered dying from a hanging. When the soul recognizes the root cause, healing begins. But this isn't just about memory, it's about integration. At this stage, you begin to forgive karmic bonds, see patterns across lifetimes, understand soul contracts with those closest to you, release guilt and attachments that no longer serve. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you begin asking, "What is this teaching my soul?" Your perspective becomes cosmic. Your compassion deepens. You realize no experience is wasted. No soul is your enemy, and every lifetime has brought you here. Stage 10, contact with the higher self. This is the moment awakening becomes embodiment. You no longer need to seek truth outside of you, because the truth speaks from within. Dolores called it the subconscious, but not in the Freudian sense. She described it as the highest, most divine part of us, the source-connected self. Many of her clients under hypnosis would begin speaking in a different tone. A loving, confident, all-knowing voice would emerge and answer questions about health, purpose, and the nature of reality. Dolores would ask, "Why did this person choose this body? What is the lesson of their illness? Can the body be healed?" And the higher self would respond clearly, compassionately, and often miraculously, sometimes initiating instant healing. You don't need to be under hypnosis to access this part of you. In this stage, you begin to hear your inner guidance clearly. Trust your intuitive nudges without needing validation. Receive answers during meditation, dreams, or moments of stillness. Feel the presence of your oversoul guiding every step. The fear of making the wrong choice fades, because you know that your soul is steering, and you realize that channeling isn't a special gift. It's your natural state when you are quiet, open, and aligned. Stage 11, shifting to new earth frequencies. Now, the world itself begins to feel different. Not because it changed, but because you did. Time becomes fluid. Synchronicities accelerate. Your manifestations arrive faster. You feel others' energy more intensely. You can no longer tolerate dissonance or deception. This is the stage where you begin shifting into what Dolores called the New Earth frequency, a 5D level of consciousness based on unity, peace, and love. You may notice a strong desire to clean up your diet, aversion to negativity in media or conversation, heightened sensitivity to crowds and chaos, deep attraction to nature, silence, and authenticity. In her sessions, Dolores described the split between the old Earth and the new Earth as a vibrational choice, not a physical one. Some people will remain in fear, control, and suffering, not as punishment, but because their souls are still learning through those vibrations. Others, like you, will begin to live in a new frequency, one of joy, flow, connection, where thoughts shape reality and love guides action. This shift is not about escaping the world. It's about recreating it through your own vibration. You become a portal, a living bridge between dimensions. Stage 12, becoming a guide for others. And finally, the cycle completes. You are no longer lost. You are no longer seeking. You have become the one you once searched for. At this stage, your soul asks, "How can I serve?" Not from obligation, not to fix others, but from a deep desire to share the light you found. Maybe you become a mentor, a healer, a spiritual teacher. Maybe you offer presence and compassion to those still in darkness. Maybe you guide quietly through your energy, your choices, your being. Dolores believed that the awakened are here to help lift humanity, one soul at a time. Not with dogma, but with love. You understand now. Everyone awakens in their own time. You don't need to convince or convert. You are here to be. And in your being, you remind others of their own light. You become a lighthouse in the storm, a guidepost for the next soul stirring awake. Conclusion. Take another deep breath. We've just journeyed through the 12 sacred stages of awakening, mapped through the extraordinary work of Dolores Cannon, and reflected through the mirror of your own soul. So now I ask you again, where are you now? Do you feel yourself somewhere in the early stages, questioning reality, searching for truth? Or are you in the middle, shedding layers, reconnecting with your soul? Or maybe, just maybe, you've begun guiding others too. Whatever your answer, I invite you, if it feels right, to share it in the comments. I am in stage and I honor my journey. Let this space become a map of awakening, a web of remembrance. And if you felt seen in this video, if something stirred in your heart or unlocked a memory you didn't know you carried, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to continue this sacred exploration with us here on Being and Beyond. You don't walk this path alone. You never have, and you never will until next time. Stay soft, stay sovereign, and keep listening to the wisdom within. It already knows the way, always.